Hey everybody, what's going on? Is Rick, and I'm here with part 3, week 3 of the September reviews. We have some movies to talk about. What do we got here? We got 6 today, so a smaller video, or smaller review video. But 6 movies in a week is still quite a bit, especially now that I'm back to work. Today is October 10th. It's when I'm recording this video. So I'm only like 2 or 3 weeks removed from these, which is good. Sometimes I record these review videos, I'm like a month and a half removed from them. But not this time. So we're going to dive right in. A movie that reminds me of my days working at Blockbuster Video. Because I always saw this on the shelf but never watched it. And that is Sunshine Cleaning, which came out in 2009? Yes, 2009. So it stars Amy Adams, Emily Blunt, and Alan Arkin. Not Alan Alda. I always confuse them. About 2 sisters who basically start a murder scene cleanup business. Maybe not necessarily legally. And Alan Arkin plays their father. Amy Adams is a single mom. Emily Blunt is her screw-up sister. And it is a dark comedy and a pretty enjoyable one at that. This is actually a previous Blockbuster movie, and I can tell because I can see the glue there and on the bottom, right under my finger. It's not moving the right way. You can tell that was stuck to the Blu-ray paper inside a disc. So that's kind of fun because, like I said, this was a very popular rental at my time working there. I want to say it was like a Blockbuster exclusive at the time, and we had a ton of copies of this. So back when I worked at Blockbuster, I wasn't really, I didn't have either of these actresses on my radar, and it's just not something that I watched back then. But I finally got to check it out and watch it, and it was a pretty fun movie. Fun is a relative term. It's a dark movie, but it's also a funny movie. So I love dark comedies. And Alan Arkin is awesome as the dad who always is trying to plan his next get-rich scheme while Amy Adams is trying to take care of her kid, and Emily Blunt is just being a carefree person. So yeah, this is an enjoyable movie. Amy Adams and Emily Blunt were great as sisters, fantastic chemistry. And I give this a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this movie. It is definitely staying on the shelf. It is a fun watch for sure. Next up is something I don't physically have. It is something we watched on Hulu called The Assistant. And The Assistant seems to be a movie that's very, I don't want to say controversial, but it's a very divisive movie. A lot of people commented on my, I want to say Instagram or Facebook post that they thought the movie was super boring. They turned it off after 15 minutes. So basically the movie is about a woman who works as an assistant for a Hollywood studio head. It is basically a day in her life. So yes, it starts with her getting up while it is still very dark outside, probably 3 or 4 in the morning, getting her Uber into the city to go to the company she works for's office, setting up the office for everybody, getting everything done. She cleans up the boss's office. There's an earring on the floor. It's very Weinstein-esque in content, if you would. It's an 87-minute movie, so it doesn't overstay its runtime. And for a movie that's just basically a day-in-the-life movie, that nothing crazy happens in this movie. It's not a, like, edge-of-your-seat thriller, but it had me sucked in, and I enjoyed it quite a bit for what it was. Julia Gardner plays Jane, who's the lead actress in the film. And she basically is the glue to the office. She's handling so much and just doing mundane things, and she eventually gets to like sit down and eat when it's dark out at night again after a very long day, and she's responsible for all sorts of different things, and she's the glue of the office. And she's new in the job. She's only been in that job for months. It's not like she's been there for years. So she has a lot of she has a lot of pressure put on her and on her character. Like I said, it is not the most exciting movie. She has dreams of being a Hollywood producer. So every time she maybe tries to voice her displeasure about what's going on, and they kind of dangle the carrot in front of her saying like, didn't you want to be a Hollywood producer? Like, don't you want to make it in this business? And I'll leave it at that. Like I said, it's a day in the life. It's not a crazy movie. You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't see that coming, or wow, it's a good movie, but it's not going to be for everybody. I give it a 3 out of 5. I would definitely recommend checking it out, but like I said, I've heard very mixed things. So, speaking of mixed things, I have I guess it's a fairly unpopular opinion. For the first time ever, Bridget and I watched Michael Mann's film Heat. This being the director's definitive edition with the cool slipcover there. So, this is a movie that I've heard nothing but amazing things. 4.5, 5-star reviews. And this has been on my watch list for a long time. I've never seen it. I've heard fantastic things. When I went and saw Den of Thieves in the movies, probably 3 years ago now, a lot of people mentioned this film. So, the first hour of this movie flies by. I really enjoyed it. It was great. But the second act of this movie drug way too much for me and really took me out of the film. And of course, the third act's fantastic as well. But that second act was just tough for me to get through. The bank heist in the film that kicks off Act 3 is definitely the highlight of the movie. Definitely the standout part of the movie. It's a fantastic cast. You have Pacino, De Niro, and Val Kilmer as your 3 leads. But Act 2 just hurt this for me. I didn't love it as much as a lot of people. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It'll stay on the shelf, but I don't know how soon I would revisit this. I didn't love it. I would definitely rewatch the bank heist scene for sure again. But outside of that, I mean, the first and third act great. Second act really hurt this. I give it a 3.5. So, next up is another film I had never seen. Another film we pulled out of the hat. It's never been towards the top of my wish list, but Bridget recommended we check it out, so it went into the hat, and that is 12 Monkeys, starring Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, and Madeline Stowe. I had to check her name. I didn't remember, honestly. So, this movie was a very bizarre sci-fi flick. Lots of callbacks and hints throughout the movie that are all tied together in the end. I will say the highlight of this film for me is Brad Pitt in 1990. That character is the highlight for me. Outside of that, this was just probably a little too weird for me. It was almost like The Cell, just a little too out there in my opinion. Like I said, I'm not a huge sci-fi guy. I've never claimed to be a huge sci-fi guy, so watching something like this, it's like, I appreciate it for what it is, and like I said, Brad Pitt's fantastic in the movie, especially his mental patient character. But I give this a 3 out of 5. Like I said, it's not something that like I would rush to watch again. So, 12 Monkeys. Next is a movie that I had never seen, neither Bridget. And I liked this one a lot more than she did. And that is Christine, this being the Blu-ray Steelbook there. So this is a book based on a movie based on a Stephen King book, which was directed by John Carpenter. Like I said, I had never seen this, but the movie was pretty fun. It tells the story of Christine the Killer Car. There were lots of stuff in this movie that, man, I had like a total just a brain. Bleh. There were lots of things that happened in this film that like just didn't get explained or fully make sense to me. Although we're talking about a movie that's about a killer car, so maybe I'm overanalyzing it a little bit. The music in this movie, Man, you can tell, guys, it's Saturday morning when I'm recording this. I literally got up, showered, and started recording. So the music in this movie is very well done. Christine only plays music from the 1950s, although you'll notice in other cars they're listening to like music from the, I guess it's technically the 70s or 80s. And those songs are actually remakes of 50s songs, which I picked up on, and I thought that was pretty cool. I wish, since this movie is rated R, that they went and showed more of the violence and gore in the film. A lot of that, you know, in an R-rated movie, I think a lot of that was based on the language in this movie, and they shied away from the violence and gore, which kind of bummed me out because I wanted to see more of that. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie. Like I said, I enjoyed it more than Bridget did. I give this a 3.5 out of 5. I would definitely watch this one again for sure. I don't think Bridget would, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. And then we have the last movie that I watched this week, a movie that is not making the shelves. A movie that's description, as I mentioned in this video, sounded fantastic. I was excited to check it out, but it did not do it for me. Cop Car, starring Kevin Bacon. So the premise is basically two young kids who you find out are juvenile delinquents find a cop car in the middle of the woods, and they basically take it for an adventure. And it sounds like it would be a fun time with an R rating. You find out why the cop car was sitting in the woods. And the writing and pacing of this movie, like the pacing was very tedious. The writing wasn't very good, in my opinion. I enjoyed the ending of the movie. I don't want to go into it because it's a big spoiler. But I don't think the ending warrants the first hour. And this wasn't a long movie either. That's the other thing. So the movie has a runtime of an hour and 28 minutes, and I would say the ending of this isn't worth sitting for that hour and 28 minutes, so I guess that explains some things. I give this a 1.5. Like I said, this is not making the shelf, so this will be going up for sale on eBay or traded into Pam's, depending on value. So that is it for this video. Thank you guys as always for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Also, subscribe if you guys don't already. It would be appreciated. Leave comments down below. What have you guys been watching? Let me know in the comments. And I am wiping my eye because I have an eye boogie. Yep, I call it an eye boogie because I'm a grown man. So, thank you guys. Check out the description box down below where you can find links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, where I rate and review all the movies I watch, Blu-ray.com profile, Amazon wishlist, my eBay page, email address, P.O. box can all be found down below in the links. And until always, I think I need coffee. Until next time, as always, who's down to movie? Slow down, Rick. Slow down and think.